Hello.
Hi.
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 How are you?
How are you? I'm gonna close my.
Good.
Yeah.
Place your brand here.
Sitting down.
Good luck, have fun.
Okay, thanks.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye. So, guess what we forgot when we did our last one? We forgot to do scene.
Oh, all that stuff.
And for Susan to go.
And then,
Okay.
lucky. So, there's a condition called manogia. We were trying to pronounce it earlier.
How do you spell it?
I don't remember. It's a condition of excessive bleeding in women.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have it. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today is some of these oils that we've been using and the impact that it's had for me on this particular condition.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So, shall we begin?
Okay.
Wonderful.
Hi,
Susan.
Megan.
How are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. I can't speak, but I'm great.
Are you feeling hormonally balanced today?
I hope so.
Me too. I mean, for me, because that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Awesome.
So, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Essentials Roundtable with your fabulous hosts, Megan Edge and Susan Seal. I'm Megan Edge.
Oh,
She's
I'm Susan.
It's sort of process of elimination, right?
I'm trying to figure out which camera to look at. And
I know it's
to
well,
just
you know,
be normal, but it feels like my eyes are going in many directions.
So I guess we should explain. We're still new to this whole doing
Yes,
this
we are.
by distance and on Zoom and different camera angles. And of course, normally we would have this all set up like a studio in the living room at home, and we'd have various cameras, and Darren, our producer, would be there taking care of it all.
Yes.
And now we're doing it this way. So yeah, if our eyes wander, it's only because we're trying to figure out which camera to look at right now.
Do I look at Megan? Do I look at myself on the screen? Or do I look up here at myself on that one? Or do I look into the camera?
I know, it's crazy, right? Well, I think ideally it's into the camera. But what happens on Zoom, of course, is that we want to look at each other because we want to see each other's expressions.
I know, I keep going, what?
Well, I think considering everybody's on Zoom these days, I think we will be forgiven
Okay.
for any and all of it.
Awesome.
Because at least we're here and we're doing it.
That's
And
good.
what we want to talk about today is balance, which
Yes.
in this unbalanced time that we are currently in is of the utmost importance.
Yes.
And whether we're looking at balance or harmony or just our emotional well-being, there are some amazing essential oils that we know of and are very familiar with, and we'll share some of our stories about, that are excellent for helping with hormone balancing, not only in women or for women, but also for men.
Yes.
Yes. Because usually conversations about hormones seem to land in our laps, don't they?
I guess so.
women.
Yeah. But men and women have an endocrine system.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
it's like all those major sort of organs, like your pineal gland, the hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, adrenal glands, like pancreas, your gastrointestinal tract, your ovaries, and your testes. That's all part of your endocrine system. And it regulates growth, metabolism, hormones, reproductive things, mood, emotions, everything.
All of it.
Everything.
It's almost like we have a complete system in our bodies.
Well, it's really interesting to me that all the major organs in the endocrine system are actually spoken of in a different way in other cultures, like through the chakra system.
Mm-hmm.
So people have probably seen rainbow colors of rainbow centers in the body, and each center has an organ.
I know, I love it. It's the science and medicine of the chakra system.
Yes. Yeah.
that we
And
recognize.
yet, our modern medicine has investigated that, and it's where energy flows, and it's how our chemicals from our brain flow through our body, and it all works together.
It sure does. It's almost like ancient people knew this.
Yeah,
Huh.
I know.
Go
Amazing.
figure.
And there are things you often hear people say, "Oh, that's an endocrine disruptor."
Mm.
Things that disrupt that in your body are cleaning products. Anything you put on your skin that's toxic will
Mhm.
disrupt. Any kind of toxic makeup, any kind of packaging that is on food. When you're touching the packaging, it touches your skin and that impacts your endocrine system. Finishes on furniture, on walls, paint chemicals, GMO products, gluten disrupts endocrine systems.
Yeah.
Air fresheners have toxic things in them. Canned food, unless you have special cans that it's put in. Toys, fish, meats, herbicides, fluoride in our toothpaste. Like,
So,
basically, our entire modern world can
right.
disrupt your endocrine system. So you have to look to natural things to bring balance in.
Perfect. Okay, so as you're listing off all of these environmental things that can impact our hormones and our endocrine system and our whole bodies, it's kind of depressing and
Totally.
somewhat overwhelming when you think about, well, how can I then be healthy? And if we think about all the different kinds of diseases that we are now identifying as having a correlation to the things that we're exposed to and our own body systems, it is depressing.
Is totally depressing. That's why people are on what they call bandwagons, on the healthy bandwagon, on
Mm-hmm.
the natural bandwagon, on all those bandwagons, because you need to get back on that.
That's true. Well, what can we share today that's going to be uplifting after that litany of all the things that seem to be attacking us?
Well, I think you and I kind of live in a more natural way.
Mm,
I do than how I was raised. When I grew up in the 60s, and I think that was 60s and 70s seemed to be kind of the height of chemicals.
hmm hmm
And I have learned to do things more naturally for my body, and
Yeah.
it's made a huge impact on the way my hair feels, on the way my skin looks, on whether or not I'm going to gain weight, on how I feel balanced in my body.
And yeah, you're right. I do think that you and I have the experience of knowing how to educate ourselves to learn about the ways in which we can support our bodies and all of our body systems through fresh air, through good diet, through eating as healthily as possible. And of course, all of the work that you and I do with the essential oils.
Like you have said time and time again in our episodes, there are essential oils in everything. And
Yes.
depending on whether you're using a high quality product, um, like Young Living, they will use natural, organic, therapeutic grade oils. If you're using a very low quality product, it's going to be a synthetic essential oil,
hmm
um, which means it's not actually real, right?
That's right. Yes. Yeah. And as we've said many times to our audience, it really makes a difference if you know that you're using a pure medical grade essential oil. You know where that oil has come from. You know how it's been grown, how those plants have been treated, how the whole distillation process has happened, and that no one has touched that oil between distillation and when it lands on your doorstep. Um,
Hmm.
and there are very few companies in the world that really do that. In fact, there's really only the one that does it from soil to seal.
See, just seal. Yeah.
I know, but I started calling it soil to seal, even though that's harder to say, or soil seed to seal, because the soil is where it all starts.
Well, they do that,
Hmm
right?
Yeah,
They take care of their soil. If you
yeah,
ever are seeing videos, you see what they put into it. They put essential oils into their soil, and they use everything. Like it's all, yeah, it's amazing.
yeah. It is totally amazing. So, having said that, when we're talking about using essential oils for health and well-being, what we mean is Young Living essential oils.
Yes,
Yes.
we do.
Not from Amazon, not from Walmart, not from the corner store, not from
They're
you're
not
getting
the
it.
same. They're really not the same.
It's so true. It's so
And
true.
until you experience the difference, you won't know that.
And this is why we want to make it as easy as possible for people to have the opportunity to experience that difference. You know, let us know. We'll send you samples. We'll get you set up. We'll help you see the difference and feel the difference in your body when you start using these oils. And that brings me to the disclaimer that I meant to say at the very beginning. So I'm going to say it now. We are going to be talking about things like menstruation, excessive bleeding syndrome, and who knows what else that maybe if somebody's feeling a bit squeamish, just to give you the heads up that this is what we're going to be talking about. It's really important information that we're going to be sharing today, and not just for women, but again, as we said, for men as well, because our hormones have an impact on our own body systems, but also when we're in relationship with somebody else, how we feel, our state of being, our state of mind has an impact on the other person. Mm-hmm. and can impact their stress levels or their joy
there's
level.
All kinds of science around that too.
Mm-hmm.
Just how your heart, whatever state your heart is in, can impact people a certain distance away, almost instantly. So
we are in constant communication with each other, mm-hmm. whether we're aware of it or not. And most of the time that communication is probably unconscious for most people. They don't necessarily understand the impact. And so then when we start talking about our hormones and how important it is for our hormone system to be healthy, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we want it to be healthy, but that would for me be one of the most important reasons, because I want to be in good relationship with the people around me. Oh. And, you know, I watched my younger daughter. She has an incredible flip-flop that happens around her menstruation. And I watch her go through the month and I can tell, I just know, okay, we're about 3 days out or, oh, this might be ovulation time, because she takes a nosedive into emotional PMS.
Right.
So she doesn't get a lot of the physical symptoms like her sister does, but oh my gosh, 0 to 60, you know, the eyeliner isn't going on right. And that's cause for a complete meltdown, you know, or the cookies don't bake right, or whatever little thing it is that normally in other times of the month she'd be okay with. If it's around ovulation or menstruation, she crashes. Mm-hmm. And it impacts all of us because she gets angry and she gets so upset and rages, and we're all just going like, oh my God, what just hit us? What just happened? And then just as quickly, she'll be good. And we're all still reeling. And she's gone off to do something else. Right. So when I started,
there are lots of jokes and memes and social media about that whole process, right?
I know. Well, this whole thing, she's so hormonal, but without really understanding what that means, you know. So when I started to learn about the essential oils can have on our hormonal system, I started to think about both my girls and myself as well. I have my own stories around all of this, but it was to learn, okay, how can I best support them as they go through their monthly cycles so that they can avoid the kinds of problems and issues that are currently showing up for them, and they don't have to suffer with those month after month, year after year.
Or they can at least have habits of natural ways of dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go to your doctor, which sometimes you really need modern medicine, it's nice to know that what to reach for. I wouldn't have known any of this at their age.
No, I didn't either. Not at all. Not at all. So it's funny with my girls, because the more that I'm introducing them to these oils, the less they're rolling their eyes at me. And a couple of weeks ago, my younger daughter said, Mom, I can't find my dragon time. Where's my dragon time? And I did this little, yes, victory dance, victory dance.
I keep a roller ball of Endoflex in the kitchen. And of course, Charlotte's not going to school right now. She's at home doing Zoom classes. But I used to just roll it on the back of her neck before she went to school. And it just seemed to have a calming effect.
This is
not a sleepy effect, but just a more like a balanced calming effect.
Yeah.
And she's not 15 or she was like 11.
Yeah. Well, the hormones, they cascade through our bodies at various points in our development, for sure. This is the dragon time here. I have a big bottle of it. And what I do for Charlotte is I put a little bit in a roller bottle, and then she has it by her bed. And I say to her, This one is specifically designed for your menstruation, for that time of the month. And it helps with emotional balancing. It helps with cramping and other kinds of symptoms that you might be having. And it can help with bleeding, with excessive bleeding, it turns out. Because some of the ingredients that are in here are some of those oils that help with that. So that's the one that she has on just around her period. And then my other daughter, who probably has endometriosis, this is the one that I've been now using for her, which is the Plus. And we'll see. Like I don't know how consistently she's using it yet. I'm trying to make it a habit for her to use it every day, because that's what Progestence Plus does. It regulates throughout the month.
Yes.
And helps with a constant supply of progesterone, which is the women's ultimate feel-good essential oil.
Oh, you got the book.
Hormone. Yeah, I did. I got that one and I got this one.
Way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's some repeated information in them, but they're a little bit different. And really this whole thing about progesterone, I just find it so fascinating. And I wish that 25 years ago, 30 years ago, my doctor knew this information and she just didn't, you know, and actually even my current OBGYN, I won't name names, good fellow, good man. But when I went to him with this excessive bleeding condition called, wait, let me try to pronounce it, menagia, something like that. Anyways.
I guess you don't have to be able to pronounce it to have it.
That's right, exactly. And I went to him with this because it was actually impacting my day-to-day life. If I went into a menstrual cycle, I would be 14 days full on. And here's the disclaimer: if you're squeamish, just turn away for a moment. Blood clots the size of small steaks. This is not normal. And this is very impactful on my day. I can't, if I sit with a client and then I go to stand up and then it's like, okay, well, I better run to the bathroom. That's how bad it was. And when I went to see him, you know what he said to me? He said, "It can't be that bad, can it?" I said, well, you know, and I described to him how much was happening. And he said, "Oh, I wouldn't be worried about that. We'll get you tested for anemia." So we had the anemia test done, and because lots of blood loss, right? Anemia. And he says, "Nope, you're fine. Your iron levels are fine. Bye." And I wish I had thought to say, and maybe Darren will have to bleep this out. The next time you pass a blood clot the size of a small steak out of the end of your penis, why don't you give me a call and you tell me how bad it is? I wish that I had said that. Anyhow, I ended up going back on the birth control pill at 48 years old to try to regulate everything. And it worked, but I didn't want to be on the birth control pill, especially not coming up to my 50s. You know, there's so much research now that's been done around birth control pills and also hormone replacement therapies and the increase of breast cancer, especially for women. So I decided about 6 months ago, I was going to go full bore with all of the different hormone blends that Young Living has, take myself off of the birth control pill and just see where I was at with menopause and all of that stuff.
And then what's happened?
Well, the amazing thing is I have no cramps. I have no bloating. I have no breast tenderness. My emotional state is so much better during the month. I don't have that day after when I think of the day before and realize, oh, right, that's because I'm about to get my period. So I'm more even keeled. And interestingly, the bleeding is much less.
Wow.
And then the really exciting thing is I was looking it up in one of our little reference books here, one of the ones that we love. And there is a blend that's been created for excessive bleeding that has helichrysum, cistus, and cypress in it. All three of these, for each of them, they either resolve blood clots or stop excessive bleeding as one of their constituents.
Nice.
So since I made that little blend in here and I've been using it this month, almost nothing.
Wow. That's powerful.
It is. And it's so freeing and empowering to realize that
you can actually do it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. That I can do it myself.
You can experiment and find out right away. And it's not going to hurt you if it doesn't help. And it's not going to, like, the effects can be so amazing, and you're not going to have
Mhm.
the same kind of side effects you would have from something synthetic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. Yes. So I'm a total believer for myself. I mean, this is anecdotal. This is just my experience of it. And then there's all the research that supports my experience with everything that people are doing now, working with essential oils and all that good stuff that's happening. And then what I love about Young Living is that they have a line for men as well to help men with their hormonal issues. Because as we've described, men have menopause and menstruation. It's a thing. We talked about it in the sexy show that we did. It really is. It's true. They do. They've got all this. They've got the same hormones we have in different configurations. And I've watched one man in my life who I now convinced had a lot of hormonal things going on that nobody was looking at or even acknowledging, because it's not a conversation that a lot of men have with their doctors unless it's
Well,
testosterone.
when you think about the conversation you had with your doctor, you
Yeah,
can imagine why men wouldn't have it with their doctors.
right.
Right.
Well, and I think too in the common vernacular, like you're talking about all those memes and things, it's
Mhm.
thought hormones are thought to be a women's issue,
Mhm.
women's problem. That's a women's problem. We don't need to fuss with the men about it. But then you see all these men walking around with great big bellies, and they're complaining about depression, and they're complaining about irritability and not being able to really think clearly and not sleeping well and loss of libido. I would go with hormones on those ones.
Yeah, well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Young Living has a couple of blends for men specifically, one called Mister
Mhm.
and the other one called Shutran. And this is Mister right here. This one, I think they both have yarrow, or Mister has blue yarrow in it. It's really pretty,
Mm.
but not in like a girly way, in a manly way. And then, oh, Shutran. This is the Shutran one. Totally different smell. It's almost like licorice. Here, yeah, here you go. Give a sniff. You got it. um, and I was curious to try these anyways, but also because my husband Darren, our producer, had been experiencing for a number of years really severe night sweats.
Ah,
Men get night sweats just like women do. And it's part of that hormonal change that they're going through. But it meant he wasn't getting good night's sleeps.
right.
So he started using the Shutran. He puts it on his feet every night. And
Mhm.
then I think he puts it on he puts it on his hands and he breathes it in. And he hasn't had a night sweat for 5, 6 weeks
That's amazing.
now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, I think that's pretty awesome.
Totally. So there are like I mean, there are different oils. Like you hear clary sage used quite often
Mm-hmm.
in conversations about, yeah, um, hormones and essential oils. It helps to balance estrogen levels in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we have excess estrogen with PMS, and so it helps to balance. Thyme improves progesterone levels. You can rub it on your thyroid. Um, and the other thing is progesterone levels are linked to infertility and depression. So there are
Mm-hmm.
lots of different oils you can use to help with that. Sandalwood essential oil balances testosterone levels. So
Beautiful.
that's good for men and for women.
Yeah.
Um, you can just rub it put it in a coconut oil and rub it on your body like a massage oil or
Mm.
something like that. Um, there are different oils I've used for adrenal fatigue. Um, there's one nutmeg, rosemary, and clove.
Oh,
And
wow.
I just put in a little tiny with some carrier oil. It's a little dropper, and then just take a drop. And I like to rub them right on my back. I also, black spruce is a great oil
Mm.
for adrenals. I keep it in the shower and put a drop in my hands and just rub and hold on my lower back for that. I
Beautiful.
suffer from adrenal fatigue quite often. That's your cortisol, too much
Mm-hmm.
cortisol running through
Mm-hmm.
your system. And so
Right.
that can really upset things.
Yes.
So for me, sometimes it's not direct, like it's not like a menopause, that time of the month. It's not that kind of support you need. Sometimes it's your stress response. right? Because stress impacts the way your body talks to itself.
Mm-hmm.
And your hormones are kind of the way it talks to itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can have better conversations, really,
I love
when
that.
you use essential oils. So, like for hot flashes, a lot of women are using peppermint,
Mm-hmm.
and whether it's a hot day or a hot flash, you can
Mm-hmm.
get a little mister and put like a little bottle. I have one. I forgot to bring it. Um, and put a couple drops in and fill it with water and shake it up and just mist it on the back of your neck, over your head. And lavender is another great one for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a great story about scleral. Yeah, that's the one, right? No, sclerescence. When we were at your place and we were having that the oil party, well, before all this started,
Yeah.
back in January, I think it was. So one of our friends who was there, she started to get a hot flash, and she'd been really suffering with hot flashes. And I said, okay, wait, I can see it. Like I could watch. I was watching it go up her face getting red, and she was starting to get kind of flustered. And I said, give me your hand. I'm going to put a couple of drops of sclerescence in your hand. I just want you to rub your hands together, breathe it in. Let's just see what happens. So she did. And within moments, less than a minute, we watched the whole thing go down.
You know, you can ingest sclerescence. It's made as a, yes, put it
That's
in
what I
your,
have in my water right now.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
started putting Endoflex in my face serum in the morning.
Mm,
And I know you were telling me you were putting progestins in your face serum. So I
yeah.
don't have any progestins right now, but I put Endoflex in it. It smells minty and it's lovely. I have so many
Mm-hmm.
things. Like I've got frankincense, which is good for cortisol, lavender, which is good for lowering cortisol levels. Also, lemon oil.
Mm,
So just having that in your diffuser, well,
yes.
that's why people feel happier. It's actually lowering the chemical that creates a stress response.
That makes so much sense, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I do. When I get low with my progesterones, about that much in the bottle, then I'll start concocting. And so I'll
Ah,
go to my books and say, okay, well, what do I want to work with now? And then I, write all my recipes down. And then I'll put in meadow foam oil or jojoba oil or rosehip oil or primrose seed oil. These are all also hormone balancing oils for women and for men too, I would imagine. And then I put in some of the other essential oils. And so I end up with a beautiful face serum. I think I've got 4 now because I go through each of the progesterones.
oh, yeah, yeah, right.
It's great because now my girls each have one. They can each have one. There's one in one bathroom. And just throughout the day, we'll just put a little bit on. It smells great, and you feel better. You
Totally.
feel better. And I think it's really interesting what Dan Purser, this fellow here, the work that he's doing on hormones and progesterone and estrogen and all. I mean, it's just incredible. If you go to his website, there's a ton of information on there.
So Dan Purser.
Dan Purser. And he helped create progesterone or phytoprogesterone, whatever
Yeah,
it is.
I watched a long, long video
Mm-hmm.
he created, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it was so
All
much,
the
so
information,
incredible.
Dave. I know. Very
And that
much.
just got me so excited because if this is something that we can have from a natural source, like an essential
Yes,
oil that will help boost our progesterone production in our bodies, and lack of progesterone or low progesterone is tied to so many things that women deal with,
it's true.
why wouldn't we want to have that?
I know. And then it's so natural. It's not a synthetic
Mm-hmm.
composition. You know, yeah, it's good for you.
Exactly. All of this is good for us. This is why we're doing this. There's so much information there. I've been studying over the last couple of weeks and intermittently as we've been talking about doing this show. And wow, I mean, I get it. There's a lot of information and a lot that we still don't necessarily fully understand
Well,
about
I,
hormones.
I agree with you because when you think that part of your endocrine system is your gastrointestinal tract.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you just focused on that,
Yeah.
like that's a whole complex thing in itself, right? So clean up your diet. If you think you might be sensitive to gluten, just eliminate it for a little while and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
See how you
Mm-hmm.
feel. See if it affects
Exactly.
your mood. See if it affects your energy levels, because that means it's affecting you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
you can even use, like when I think of, Young Living has these starter kits with 11 oils in them. And
Mm-hmm.
every single oil has the potential to have a positive impact on your endocrine system
Yeah.
from, affecting your emotions, the feelings you're having, your muscles,
Mm-hmm.
how your body is dealing with recovering from workouts, to digestion, to opening airway, like all of it impacts you.
Yeah.
You know, it's you can go and get one oil like the clary sage or the progessence plus, which actually a lot of people end up just getting like one thing. But when you've got a whole sort of home, kind of like a home pharmacy,
Mm-hmm.
you can really play with that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the stronger that you are able to create, like the stronger your hormones are, or the more
Mhm.
balanced your hormones are, the whole system, the healthier you are. So
You'll
it
have
impacts your
fewer
immune system.
issues. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. If you've really created this environment around you and made it healthier, cleaner, your body's not having to deal with that. And so
Yeah,
you're not fighting so much internally to be at balance.
that's right. You're not in a toxic overload.
No,
And most people are in our modern world. We're
they
in a
totally
toxic
are.
overload. What kinds of diseases might we see a fall in over the next few years?
Mhm.
Like, I wonder if even just this short period of time, even if it's 4 months, 6 months, however long this lasts, can have an impact the way it's having on the Earth's systems, on our own body systems
Well,
when we're not
most
being
people are
constantly exposed.
I agree. I think most people I'm talking to are commenting on they're getting more rest. Unless they're a doctor
Yeah.
or a nurse or a front care, like a frontline worker of some kind, or like I think people working in grocery stores and deliveries, like they are under more stress, way more
Hmm.
stress. But if you are at home and you're not having to travel to work and you're not having to, I don't know, just use bad laundry detergent and like all the
Yeah.
things that I think you're maybe doing every day, I think you would, at least I'm finding I'm more rested. I'm
Mm.
in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so this is where, as we say almost every show, this is where it's so important to have these oils, these high quality oils from Young Living, because this is what we want you to be working with,
Well,
right?
and I would
Because we
think
know they work.
if you are a frontline worker, someone who's right in the thick of it, you would want to make sure your everything that you used in your life
Hmm.
strengthened your immune system
Yeah.
and your endocrine system and every part of your body. You wouldn't want anything that would cause your body to have to work harder because you're working hard enough.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that here in Canada, there's a ban, or there's has been for a long time, on perfumes in hospitals and home
Oh,
care
yes.
settings and stuff like that. But this is the beauty about these essential oils. They're not perfume.
No. Well, and you can wear things on your feet. If you're going into public places, you don't have to wear it up here where people are going to smell it. You can put it on your feet. No one's going to smell it. And your body's going to take that medicine from that, the
Yeah.
energy, the healthiness from it, and pull it up into your system. You do not have to have it where other people can smell it.
I love that. I love that. So anybody who's watching this or listening, if you're in one of these settings that we're talking about and you're not allowed to have perfumes on, then absolutely put them on your feet before you go to work in the morning, or at lunch at your break, or just be be an undercover essential oil user.
Yeah, and some people are putting them in their masks. Like rose oil will affect your serotonin levels. So you can put it
Yeah.
in the mask you're wearing, one
Yeah.
one drop, right? You can put things like that. Like I'm thinking frankincense would be wonderful, sandalwood,
Hmm.
all the tree oils. I think that would be lovely.
Very
Or
grounding.
yeah,
Yeah.
and really good for just your immune system.
Absolutely. One of the things that we did, this reminds me just before we go, Darren came back from doing some grocery shopping and he was wearing his mask. And I said, okay, take it off outside. And we hung it up on a tree branch. And then I got out my purification spray. I've made a spray with purification and lemongrass in it.
Right.
And I just sprayed his whole mask and then sprayed him down with it. And then he stood out in the sun for a couple of minutes, because sun will also kill the viruses. And then it felt safe for him to come into the house, and he was able to use his mask again because we had purified it. We had
Well,
taken
and
care of that.
so I have the thieves spray,
Hmm.
which I spray things with, because they actually make a little travel spray.
So the moral of the story is, use your oils.
Totally.
Use them all, and you can get more. That's the beautiful thing. Young Living is making sure that they're keeping their stock as best as they can, so that we can have access to these oils and be able to keep ourselves safe and healthy,
Mhm.
and not just for right now with what everyone's going through, but for the foreseeable, like forever. Just
Forever.
forever. Use them forever.
Ever and ever.
Susan, where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you and talk with you more about the work that you do, your oils, everything else that you do? Where can they find you?
Oh, at my website is easiest, susanseal.com.
Perfect. That's super simple. I love it. And similarly, I'm at meganedge.ca. So we are easy to find. And we would both love to keep the conversation going with all of you who are out there. So
Don't forget to subscribe. Isn't there a button somewhere?
somewhere, I think it's down there somewhere. It's a big red button.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. We would love for you to subscribe. That way you can come back anytime, watch all of our shows. We'd also love to see you in our public Facebook group, The Essentials Roundtable with Megan Edge and Susan Seal on Facebook. It's open to anyone. Come on in, join the conversation. We provide pretty much daily. We provide information. We provide empowerment stories. You know, we're really creating a beautiful community over there. So please feel free to jump on. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today and learning a little bit about hormone and hormone balancing. Thank you, Susan.
Thanks, Megan.
Always wonderful. And wait, what are we forgetting? I know. Steve. Hi, Susan.
Bye, Megan.